On the morning of March 14, 2001, Jamaicans woke up to one of the most horrific acts of police violence ever perpetrated in the country. But the government's response in the days and weeks following that incident would cement our descent and unraveling of human rights protections against state-perpetrated violence. In the early morning hours, the Crime Management Unit led by Senior Superintendent Reneto conducted a raid at 1088 Sealway in Braeton, St. Catherine. When they were done, 7 men lay dead. Dead was 15-year-old Regan Beckford, Christopher Grant, 17, Lansbert Clark, 19, Dane Ronaldo White, 19, Tomoya Wilson, 20, Curtis Smith, 20, and Andre Verger, also 20. Dubbed by the media as the Braeton 7, this was the latest in a series of extrajudicial killings in which no police officer was held accountable. According to a Gleaner report of the incident, police arrived at the house at around 4:30 that morning and announced themselves as police. Men began firing at the officers from the house, and the police returned fire, and the 7 were killed. At the time, the police believed that at least one of the men was implicated in the death of Police Constable Dwight Gibson 2 weeks earlier. Several witnesses who lived nearby disputed police account of the incident, including that there was a shootout with men from inside the house. Witnesses say they heard the men begging for their lives, followed by a barrage of gunshots. Claude Mills, a Gleaner reporter who lived about 3 houses away, gave this testimony. At around 5:28, there was a high-pitched sound and a man was heard begging for his life. The voice was full of despair and desperation. A man was begging for mercy. "Officer, me no know. Officer, officer, no officer. Do officer no kill me," the man cried. Gunshots followed his desperate plea. Then a stony silence. It was now 5:39 a.m. Another voice came. "Help me no brother Carpy. No make them kill me. Help me no brother Carpy. Why?" a man bawled. Then there was a pause, and there were 3 evenly spaced explosions, followed by more screams. Soon, a crowd began to gather. This is Mills' testimony continuing. Stony-faced police officers kept the crowd at bay. They stood grim-faced but expectant as the policemen took bodies from the house on 5th Sealway one by one and packed them like kindling in the back of the police jeep. A few minutes before, I heard a voice crying out from inside the house. "Boy, no kill me. Mama, them a go kill me. Mama, them a go kill me. Them a go kill me," screamed the man before being cut short by more explosions. Later, Senior Superintendent Reneto, who is in charge of the Crime Management Unit, came to address the crowd, assuring them that justice had been delivered on 5th Sealway because the killers of Principal Keith Morris a few hours ago and of Constable Dwight Morris and another male in Above Rocks police station had been found and dealt with. Mills's testimony was corroborated by other neighbors who lived nearby. In addition, some relatives of the deceased men testified that in the hours before the killings, they were taken into custody by the police and were severely beaten and threatened with death. One relative said, "The policeman put the M16 over his shoulder and told me to run, and I did not. He took me through the gate to a dark spot and put me to kneel down. He took out a handgun from his holster. He said, 'You know how to say our Father?' But I did not answer him. He said, 'You, Chris, and Conroy are got dead.' That man was later released without charge. The Conroy he was referring to testified that the police took me out of the car that I was in and beat me with handgun and their hands and said I was telling them lie. I got injured to the left jaw, left elbow, and left knee. After being taken to Braeton, he was taken to the Spanish Town police station where he was beaten again. He also alleged that 2 policemen attempted to remove him from the police vehicle near the house in Braeton, but that the driver stopped them, pointing out, Put him back in the car. When you not take him from West Cumberland from his parents' house and carry him over there and kill him, how that look? These testimonies are contained in a report by Amnesty International titled The Killing of the Braeton 7, A Justice System on Trial. Another major hindrance to finding out the facts behind this case is the police's failure to preserve evidence. For example, less than 3 hours after the bloody killings, all police had disappeared without sealing off the location, allowing members of the public to go into the house and roam freely. Subsequent television footage showed police officers handling the guns and other evidence without gloves or any attempts to preserve the evidence. Police also removed the bodies before forensic personnel had arrived to determine the facts of the shootings. They justified their actions by saying that they had taken the men to seek medical attention. It was later determined that it was 40 minutes after the shooting that the first person arrived at hospital, even though the hospital was only 10 minutes away. The ballistics report had even more discrepancies. Police claimed they shot the men in the front room, but most of the blood was found in the back room. The police claimed that they were firing through the windows in the front room, but again, most of the blood was found in the back room, which did not jive with the police's account of the incident. And if some of the men had tried to run through the back door, as the police claimed, they would have certainly run into the police, according to how the police say they were positioned. The pathologist report also showed that most of the men had head wounds, which was not consistent with a shootout. For example, Christopher Grant was shot in the head. Lansford Clark was shot in the back of the head. Andre Virgo was shot 4 times in the head. And Dane White had a wound to the top of his head. Blood spatter evidence also showed that only one person was killed in the communal area, and the rest of the men all died in the back left bedroom, where there were large deposits of blood on the mattress and the floor. This is contrary to the police's testimony that all the men were found in the communal area. In the wake of the incident, Senior Superintendent Reneto Adams was sent on a brief leave, but he did not lose his job as head of the controversial crime management unit. The case made international headlines, and a BBC team even traveled to Jamaica and put a spotlight on police extrajudicial killings and the crime management unit led by Reneto Adams. 6 police officers charged with the killings were later freed. And it would not be the last time that the Crime Management Unit and Senior Superintendent Reneto Adams would be in the spotlight for a controversial killing.